I have been disturbing you with the vegan information. Right. So like I said again, thanks to Seke for giving us this opportunity. This right place is called Abajo. And every Friday night from 8 p.m. there is live band music. So if you're feeling bored at home, drive right down to Abajo and treat yourself to some beautiful music. So I'd like to acknowledge the presence of a very renowned Ghanaian chief, respected Ghanaian chief, and his Nana Kofi Tuda, and his Agogon Kabumbini, and the Asante Koninkrobini in North America. You are welcome, and we thank you for gracing this program. So without much ado, I'm going to invite a gentleman. So we've been fighting a lot. I mean, this is a long fight. I mean, it's anytime we're on set, we disagree to agree. He's good at what he does, and he will not stop until the best, comes out of him. And so he's a budding actor, he's a writer, he's a filmmaker, he's a travel freak, he's a vegan and a climate change activist. And he's a food lover. I don't know why he didn't have this. He loves food so much. And just quite recently, he was in Nigeria. Sat in an aircraft, traveled all the way to Nigeria to taste Nigerian jollof. And when he got there, he was disappointed and he was ranting all over social media. And it tells you how much he loves food. So Majeed believes that filmmaking can be described as one of the most effective ways to spread awareness about veganism and climate change. In addition to his filmmaking, he runs a private vegan tour guide company known as Travel Freak. He has also spoken in a number of vegan forums and even interviewed by international vegan magazine known as the Veg Fest UK from the United Kingdom. And he directed the African Vegan Story. The African Vegan Story is a vegan story brewed right here in the Ghanaian port. So we interviewed a lot of vegans around, and they told us the story, how they started their journey, what went wrong, how they came back, and so it was a beautiful time with Majeed on set. Although he's quite stubborn and troublesome sometimes. When you tell him, no, let's get this done, this is how it's supposed to be, he doesn't listen to it. But he's good at what he does. And the documentary, when it comes out, you're going to be marveled. And he did a great job. So today what he will be doing, he's not going to be doing any acting, no film making, no drama. He will be inspiring us the vegan way. And so he's right here with us. And without much ado, please, with a big round of applause. I can hear you, a big round of applause. I know you're munching on some glass of pie. I can hear you. All right. So, with a big round of applause, please let's do it for Majeed Suhuyini. Yeah, as he inspires us through the vegan journey. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much, T-By. Thank you. The wireless game. So I don't know if that was an introduction or a sermon, but regardless, thank you very much. I really appreciate the kind words, the harsh words we do come out behind us. Hi everybody, my name is Majeed Suhuyini. I'm so honored to be here in front of beautiful people of wisdom. So as he rightly said, I am a filmmaker, a director, an actor, and human. That is very important. So I'd like to start with a joke. Who knows what a secondary vegan is? Anyone? A secondary vegan. Yes? So he's saying that those who like eating meat, but they still take in vegan food, right? Okay. So this is me on set, right? and they're about to serve me my food. And because I'm vegan, they had to make it vegan. And whilst we were talking, so the topic came up, and then you know how it is. People start talking, oh, veganism is so and so, goes back and forth. Normally, I don't argue, but we started talking. And before I realized, this guy who was chewing chicken blurted out, oh, I'm a secondary vegan. I was like, wait, you're eating chicken right now. What do you mean by you're a secondary vegan? And this is his answer. It's like, oh, I mean, I only eat animals who are vegan, so that makes me a secondary vegan. I was like, it does not work that way. You can't say because you eat only animals who are vegan, like farm animals, then that means that you are a secondary vegan. It doesn't even make sense. Right. So I like to start with to tell people how I became a vegan. Because the question always come up. So how do you become a vegan? And a lot of people think veganism is a foreign thing in Africa or in Ghana. Definitely not. If you go back to how we used to eat as ancient Africans, you realize that our food was more plant-based than it is right now. Right now, the 3 square meal that people say we should eat, there is a lot of animal product in each of them, which is like very harmful. So I am from a home that, in Africa we have, especially in Ghana, we have traditional occupations, right? When you go to North, I'm a Northerner, by the way. If you're a Northerner, please wave.
Wow,
But,
wow, wow.
Hi,
Yes, sir.
hi, one Northerner.
Yes, sir. Yeah.
Hi, thank you for the love. I appreciate it. So when you go to northern Ghana, and I'm sure even in southern Ghana too, they have such traditional occupations, right? There were people who were hunters, people who were drummers, people who were healers, people who were butchers. Now, traditionally, my family, we are butchers, right? We are butchers. So if you go to my house right now, there's probably more meat in the fridge than the amount of rice in the house. That is how much meat we have at home. Because every now and then, every single day, an animal is killed. And for me, growing up as a kid, I was very playful and very curious at the same time, right? So sometimes they'll bring farm animals home, and as a child, you'll be playing with the animal, right? If you're a child, you play with anything that is harmless. I'll be playing with the animal, like maybe there's a goat. They bring the goat, they tie the goat, and now you have to take care of the goat. You have to feed the goat, you have to go for walks with it. Yes, we used to go for walks with animals. So during that time, you create a bond with the goat. You create a bond with the goat, and the next morning, you're looking for the goat, you're not seeing it. And then your mom serves you food, and there's meat on it. You'll be like, Mom, but where is Billy the goat? You're like, oh no, we have to kill it. So at the same time, our parents were teaching us love, but they were teaching us compassionate, how to love every kind, even including animals. But at the same time, the cognitive dissonance, where they know that this is wrong. Because how do you teach me to love an animal, and at the same time you are feeding me the animal? It's like eating my friends. So I feel like, yes, and that is how I became a vegan, because I started questioning whatever that I eat. I started questioning, it doesn't make sense, because I couldn't understand. It's like, okay, so I can slaughter my brother and eat my brother when I'm hungry, and it just didn't add up for me. So that is when I started digging up and started finding out that there's a lot of truth being hidden. There's a lot of truth being hidden in our daily lives. And there's something called the matrix. They put you in a zone where everyone in there is programmed. Funny enough, just yesterday morning, I woke up and I was reading about the matrix. I even sent it to T. And what the set principle of breaking the matrix is being mindful of what you eat. Being mindful of what you eat. The control is huge, but at the same time, it's very invincible. They put designs of cows smiling, cattle smiling, and then they tell you, oh, happy cow, you have to drink the milk. No, I wouldn't be happy if you're drinking my milk. And then they tell you, oh, McDonald's is so and so, KFC. They make these animals look happy. But if you go behind doors and see how these animals are being treated, think about it. Who has ever been to the slaughterhouse before? You? Alright, sir. How would you describe the energy in there?
Energy in the slaughterhouse.
In the slaughterhouse. Is it a happy place? Let me make it easy.
Bloody.
Bloody.
And especially when they are dragging the cow in
They are
there
dragging the cow.
to be killed, I used to turn because I cannot look at it.
Right. Right.
When it's ready for food, I can eat.
Right. Thank you very much for the honesty. Thank you very much. So you see, this is the society we live in. A lot of the things that we get to put in our body, we don't know how it is made. And I've always said, if we question a lot of the things in our lives, there are so many things that we are going to cut ourselves off. Just as he said, in there is hell. That's the right word to use. It's hell. You will never go into a slaughterhouse. Like literally, when you go there, you see animals crying, tears. And I'm not kidding. When you go there, the cattle, those in line, you see them with tears. It's not like they are sick with any eye problem. No, that is fear. But the thing is that because of marketing, you don't get to see how the meat is made. So at the end of the day, you don't care where it's from, right? Like I always ask my friends, those who try to argue with me about veganism, I always ask them, okay, so let's say, can you cut a carrot? They'll be like, yeah, I can just chop it off, like simple. I'm like, okay, so can you snap the neck of a chicken? They'll be like, that is so cruel. And I'm like, but that's the point I'm trying to make to you. And then they will go ahead and say, well, I don't know how it's made, so it's okay. I don't see how it is made. I'm like, oh, okay. So sometimes we have to ask ourselves these questions. The fact that you don't know or you don't see how it's done, does that mean that, okay, it's all right? I just got back from Cape because that's my traveling bag. I don't know what I'm showing you, but yeah. I just got back from Cape Coast right now, and while we were there, my friend was cutting fish. I think she was scaling it. She was like singing, scaling, and I think the knife hit her finger, and she snapped. She was about to cry, and I giggled. She didn't understand why, but for me, it was that moment of cognitive dissonance where you have a murdered being in your sink that you are preparing to eat, but just a hit of a knife, you are about to cry. But this same being also bleeds just like you. They have feelings just like you. So what makes you different? Is it because of your intelligence? Is it because of our intelligence that we think that okay, we are better off? 1 minute. Oh no, you can go back. Right? And a lot of people too ask, where do you get your protein from as a vegan? I'm sure that's a lot of questions that vegans get. How many vegans are here? Please let me see you right now. Oh, okay. Wait, where have you all been? I only have like two friends, two vegan friends, and they're all online. And they're all online. You know, I'm sure all of you are bugged by where do you get your protein from, right? Where do you get it from? Where do you get it from? And sometimes it's the voice they say it with. See, here's the thing, right? When you tell someone I'm going to McDonald's, you'll be like, oh, okay. I'm going to KFC. Oh, okay. I just had tea with a lot of sugar in it. You're like, oh, okay. But as soon as you say I'm vegan, then all of a sudden they turn into this dietitian that you never knew they were. You know, you didn't even know they went to dietary school. All of a sudden they're like, oh, then where do you get your protein from? Where do you get your iron from? Where do you get your so and so from? I'm like, I didn't know you were a dietitian. So I would like to ask someone, please, where do you get your protein from as vegans? Because I'm curious. I feel like I've been deprived of a lot of protein. Can someone please give me one source?
I get it from my vegetables and fruits and all the plant-based foods that I eat.
Now I feel like I've taken a lot of protein that I should be scared now. You know, so here's the thing. I went to buy wache. I hope everybody knows what wache is. I went to buy wache, right? And I ordered from a vegan restaurant. And all of a sudden, my dietitian friend went like, "Oh, so what is the protein in the wache? What are you going to eat it with?" This is wache. The main ingredient is what? Beans, right? So because we've been preached, we've been lied to that protein comes from only animals for that long time. Now we've forgotten the truth actually that a lot of plant-based food contain what? Protein. Think about it. A lot of plant-based food contain protein. You know, just as he was saying, I didn't even know there were protein in what?
My nuts, my legumes, my vegetables, some of my fruits, and so on.
That's a lot of protein. Please don't let non-vegans hear it. Sorry, no offense to you.
No, really not vegan.
You know, but yeah, they went. He asked me, so what's the protein in that? And I was like, I'm eating rice and beans. Hello, and then he didn't get it. He was like, yeah, but what is the protein in that? And I said, yes, I'm eating rice and beans. And then he went on. He said, no, but there is no egg, there's no fish, there's no meat, there's no wele. What is the protein in it? So you could just see someone, a graduate, as a matter of fact, who has been blinded by the truth of the truth. My English has been terrible, but that is the price they pay for colonization. You know, so you could just see someone, a graduate, who has the knowledge. I bet if you give him a paper and pen to list food that contain protein, he's going to mention beans along the line. You know, but because of the cognitive dissonance, because he knows the truth, but he hasn't applied it in his life. It's just like when a doctor will tell you, oh, smoking cigarette will cause you lung cancer. By the end of the day, he takes cigarette to release stress. He knows, he has the knowledge, but because of the cognitive dissonance, he's trying to make it fit for himself. And I've been vegan for the past 6 years. October is going to be my 7th year. Thank you. October is going to be my 7th year. And he mentioned that I went to Nigeria. Yes, I went to Nigeria for an event. And that was my hardest time of being a vegan. I'm not going to lie to you. If you buy water, is there any Nigerian here? I know we are everywhere now. Area. Oh, okay, this is a safe space. So, if you buy water from Nigeria, you have to check to make sure that there's no animal product in it. There's literally animal product in everything. Yes, of course I'm exaggerating, but yes, there's literally animal product in everything. So that was my hardest time of being a vegan, because, and here's the thing about Nigeria. In Ghana, if you're a vegan, you can go and buy banku somewhere and don't take the stew. Maybe you have your own stew at home. That is what I do, by the way, as a bachelor. But in Nigeria, it's not like that. It comes with the food. So if you're buying banku, you must, and it's a must, you must take their stew. Yeah, so you should just conclude how I survived. 3 bowls of gari within a month. And I like to quote a legend who said, let's change the way we eat, let's change the way we drink, let's change how we treat other people. And that is by Tupac. Changes, thank you. You see, we keep being in this space where we are afraid of growth. So if you were born as a non-vegan, you're like, oh, I can't be a vegan. If you were born and grass cutter is your favorite meat in the house, then automatically everybody. And the more you grow to love it. But forgetting that times are changing. And information is even easier to get right now. Information is way easier. Like when I became a vegan, I didn't even know there was the word vegan. I had no idea that there was the word vegan. There are a lot of activities here that we don't know the words for it, especially in our local dialect. Like, who can tell me the local word for trauma? Local word for trauma, and a lot of words. So I just started by reading after I made the discovery, and then all of a sudden I realized that, oh wow, this is like an entire community. It's a movement. I didn't even know. So I took the step to make the change in my life. I realized that what I was eating was very bad for me and for the environment. And that is why I made the change. And I don't go about telling people, hey, you have to be vegan, you have to cut it out. Sometimes just living your truth, living your way of life. The Christians will tell you a Christ-like life. But it's not by going and being pushy to other people like, hey, you have to be a Christian. Or when someone realizes that, oh, you are good, the way you live is good and is benefiting the environment, then they are going to come. And that is how I live my life. I don't go about it. There's a gentleman here who has been following me, and that is how he is here. Because I share a lot of vegan stuff. I talk about veganism a lot on my social media, but I don't go about telling people, oh, you have to change. I remember I was trying to post this girl, and I told her I was vegan. And she was like, oh yeah, exciting. Then that means we are compatible because I'm not vegan. It didn't register. Then I asked her how. And then she said, oh, if we buy kebab, you get to eat the onions and I'll eat the meat. Yeah, and that was the end of our date. So it's just by making little steps, by taking tiny decisions. It's not by being an earthling, what's his name? Earthling ed. It's just by making the smallest decision in your life. And most of these things, if you take a look at them, it's just by analyzing what you eat, what you put in your body, what you wear. Um, and then you realize that, oh, this is actually causing a lot of harm to the environment. This is causing a lot of harm to myself. This is causing a lot of problem to the entire human race. And for me, I believe that will inform your decision. And ladies and gentlemen, this is how I became vegan. Thank you. If there's any question, please throw it up.
Majeed, thank you very much for your inspiring story. I've also been a vegan for the past 18 years. But thank you, thank you. But one of the challenges I had was for my family. And then up to now, I still have challenge with them. They've still not come to appreciate why I want to be a vegan. So, and I've met a lot of colleagues who have also faced the same pressures from their family. So I want to know, when you decided to become a vegan, did you face any pressure to stop or any opposition from your family? Maybe your mom, your dad, your siblings, or the extended family members. And if you did, how have you been able to handle it? And if you didn't go to any advice for those of us who are still facing the persecution? Thank you.
Thank you too. Thank you very much. So, as I mentioned, thank you very much, Ross. As I mentioned, I'm from a family of butchers, so of course they butchered the idea of me being a vegan. My mom think I'm in an occult, just because I don't eat meat. It's like, Majeed. They don't say Majeed. Majiro. Majiro, you've gone to Accra, you've read a lot of books, now you've joined them, occult people. I'm like, Mom, I just don't eat meat, that's all. And to her, it's like mind blowing. So, with me, this is what I do, right? They know I'm vegan, and thankfully, to some extent, they respect my decision. Like it will be on 10th of this month, and that is where I cannot stand it because the energy for that festival is just very bloody for me. That is when they get to kill a lot of animals in the Muslim homes. So mostly when it's time for Eid, I bounce. I leave home. That is just for the peace of mind of myself. But what I do is that I don't make it pushy to them. Just the way I live. I can tell you for a fact that at home we have about not less than 20 cats. And because of how I relate with them, my family has even grown to love the kittens. That is because I am compassionate about them. And sometimes, just sometimes, they feel guilty for not being compassionate to that level. But I'm not trying to judge anyone. So sometimes I think they feel guilty that you are able to kind of live this life. It's like when you tell someone, it's like when you're in the midst of people who drink and they say, "Oh, I don't drink." You know, sometimes there's this kind of guilt that comes. They're like, "Oh, so you want to say you're a good boy?" You know. So, what I would advise you is that financial dependence is key. If you're able to cook for yourself, make food for yourself, then it shouldn't be a problem. Which is what I do. I cook my own food at home. I even have a lot of utensils that I use alone. You know, it doesn't mean that I'm judging them, but it just means that this is how I want to live. And I know there are a lot of people like that in Ghana because the word vegan is foreign. And also, you just have to make it in such a way that they will tend to love it. You know, if you're using the word vegan, it's kind of like colonial. It's like it's like it's new to them. You know, I'm telling you, if you go, we did when we shot the documentary, right? We did a vox pop and we're asking people who they think a vegan is. And a lot of the time we got ridiculous answers, like very funny answers. A lot of people don't know, but if you ask them who is a vegetarian, they will tell you who a vegetarian is. So what a lot of Ghanaian family know is strict vegetarian as vegans. I don't know if I'm able to answer your question. So again, you should be able to cook for yourself. You know, so that way it's easier for everybody. Because I mean, think about them. If they have to make like a pot of jollof, and then now they have to think about how to make some for you alone. You know, so it's just self-dependence is very good as a vegan. Yes, thank you. Any other question?
Hi, I wanted to ask, as someone, there's some people who've been vegan their whole lives and all that, and having, and what advice would you have, especially for how African men talk to other African men who associate their manhood, virility, and all of that with consuming meat, and feel like if you don't consume meat, you are somehow less of a man?
Thank you. As we say on Twitter, it's giving toxic masculinity. It's as simple as that. Toxic masculinity, where you feel like I have to eat something to be a man, I have to do something to be a man. That alone in itself is toxic. You know, what if you are allergic to meat? What if you are allergic to meat? So does that mean that God didn't create you all? Or maybe you're supposed to come out as a woman? You know, so what I will tell my fellow men is that don't let society define you. Don't let society define you, because times are already hard for both genders and the other genders. Times are already hard. There's pressure on everybody. Do this to be a woman. Do this to be a woman. Do this to be a woman. Do this to be a man. Do this to be a man. But the thing is that all of those things are opinions. They are not facts. And me, as a curious person, I never let my life be ruled by opinions unless it is a fact. If I don't drink water, I'll die. Is it a fact? Yes, it's a fact. I'll drink water. If I don't breathe, if I hold my nose for about 2 minutes, if there's no oxygen in my lungs, I'll die. Is it a fact? Yes, it's a fact. I'm going to breathe. But if you tell me, if you don't eat meat, it doesn't make you a man. Is it a fact? No, it's an opinion. It's just someone who is marketing his meat, marketing his product. That is telling you that, lying to you so that you can say, oh, I want to be a man, so let me fit into that. And that is how come there's a lot of depression. I would like to end on this note. There's a lot of depression out there because everybody is trying to fit in. Everybody is trying to fit into the matrix, fit into, oh, I'm a man, so I have to do this. I'm a woman, so I have to do this. And at the end of the day, it's just a bunch of depressed people out here, because we are not ourselves. It's okay to not like meat. I'm a man and I don't like football. Please, nobody should throw shoes at me. I'm a man and I don't like football. It doesn't make sense to me. Does that make me less of a man? Of course not. And if you are a man and you like pink, so what? It's a color. It's just someone who puts something. It's not a fact. That's my whole point. You should live your life in such a way that if something is not a fact, then it shouldn't affect you that much. A lot of the things that we are trying to live our life towards, they are simply opinions by other people that, here's the funny thing, we don't even know. Like, Nataki, just, who said that? That's what I'm saying. Oh, thank you. That's what I'm saying. Who said that? Always ask, who said that? You are never ever going to find someone who said that, right? But if something is a fact, you can trace it to the first person that brought it up. Science can back it up. The universe can back it up. Thank you so much. See you. So let's take it.
There was a documentary. Unfortunately, I forgot the title. It was on Netflix. They made a small study and they have proved that the ones who didn't eat meat at the evening before, they only had a vegetable meal. They had during the night, they had more and longer erections than the men who ate meat in the evening. So they have proved that the vegans or vegetarians are more potent than people who eat meat. So for me, I mean, my husband will be so with the life. It's true.
Oh, so how is it going?
Another thing, I don't know if that is a help for Ghanaians, but for me, it helped a lot. If people ask me why are you not eating meat, then I say it's because of my religion. That Ghanaians, they respect the choice of your religion much more than the ethical or the moral and health aspects. Yes. So if I think when you're Christian, you can also relate on some parts in the Bible that Moses didn't. He was also vegetarian. So for me, I also say I'm Buddhist. So for that, they are okay with that. So there is no discussion about why I'm not eating meat. See, it's my religion, so what?
Thank you so much.
Men who don't eat meat are actually more men than men who I'd like to thank everyone for coming and also listening to me blab. But one last thing I'd like to say is that Everyone here is going through something internally. Please try to be their smile externally. Thank you.